I look at the media, there are some newspapers, exactly what they're going to write, including one in this town. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said recently in the US while taking a dig at the mainstream American media, including the Washington Post, for their biased coverage of India. He added, such groups are not winning in India. Such groups will try and win from outside, try and shape India from outside. What S. Jaishankar said is what many in India feel, and it was imperative to show some of the publications in the West the mirror. Notably, in February 2022, Indian Institute of Mass Communication in its quarterly media journal, Communicator, analyzed over 3,000 reports from various international publications such as the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Time Magazine, The Guardian, and BBC. It found that there was prejudice while reporting about India. According to the report, in 500 headlines pertaining to India, it was found out that the most used words were fear, hate, violence, riots, Hindu, Muslim, Kashmir, cow, mob, and protest. The bias is further demonstrated by the fact that in 2021, the New York Times, in its requirement for a job in their organization for India, had said that they were looking for a journalist who must be anti-establishment and anti-PM Narendra Modi. Earlier in 2014, a derogatory cartoon was published in NYT mocking India's Mars mission, where an Indian wearing a dhoti was shown holding a cow by a rope as he knocks on the doors of the elite space club of the West. And then when the whole world was suffering, including India, during COVID-19 pandemic, Washington Post, New York Times and BBC with other international media organizations during the second wave in April 2021 published photos of crematorium ground to malign India's image globally and projected India's COVID situation as out of control. However, such photos and reporting were missing when lakhs of people died in the first wave of COVID-19 in 2020 in the US, UK and Europe. Also, when the Western media organizations were busy in their propaganda against India by using photos of crematorium, in the US, the bodies of those who had died due to COVID were kept in the refrigerator for a year. But there was no front page news on it. Hundreds of bodies of COVID-19 victims in New York are awaiting burial. At the peak of the pandemic last year, the city had started storing bodies in refrigerated trucks. Unfortunately, hundreds of them are still there. India Today reported in May 2021. Another glaring example is when, while reporting about 2019 Pulwama terror attack in which 40 CRPF personnel were martyred, the New York Times chose to call it an explosion. However, despite all the false propaganda, India is progressing at a rapid pace and its clout is growing in the global arena. While on the other hand, some of the Western media houses are facing existential crises and their readership is dwindling.